again by suspended spokesperson of the BJP, Nupur Sharma. All eyes in the Supreme Court, and the big update that we're getting at this point is that hearing on the plea by Nupur Sharma in fact has now started as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. The plea is asking for clubbing of all the various FIRs against her. Also gone on to say that post those hard words of the Supreme Court the first time around, there have been an increased number of threats as far as Nupur Sharma is concerned. Siddhant continues to be tracking all these developments for us. Our legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar is also tracking all these developments inside the court. But as I said, all eyes on that crucial hearing at the Supreme Court, which we're now understanding that hearing in fact has now begun. Remember, the Supreme Court is all set to hear suspended BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma's plea once again today, citing renewed threats after the Supreme Court's previous unexpected and strong criticism of her. Nupur Sharma once again has approached the top courts to halt her possible arrest and club all the various cases against her. Siddhant, I believe, is now back with us. Siddhant, very interestingly, this is exactly the same bench that had those very strict and scathing observations and the criticism against Nupur Sharma when the case had been heard the first time around on the 1st of July.
Well, that's correct. This is a modification petition that has been filed in the Supreme Court, and interestingly, this is being heard by the same vacation bench, Justice Surikant and Justice Pardiwala. And now Mr. Maninder Singh has started his submission, and he says in the court that subsequent developments have come up. More death threats. Someone from Pakistan has come to kill the girl. There are various reports. So Maninder Singh is citing the media reports, the story that in fact we also flashed this afternoon, that one person has been apprehended by forces who has come to kill Nupur Sharma from Pakistan. And here Mr. Singh is requesting court to invoke Article 21, and Mr. Singh says in the court that the allegation is one, there is no need for multiple FIRs, and there is also a serious threat to Nupur Sharma's life, and the threat is genuine and real. West Bengal has registered 3 more FIRs. My Lordship are the protector of Article 21. Now, interestingly, there are 2 precedents in the past, which I would like to read out for our viewers. In 2020, journalist versus government, that expanded the ruling, and in which multiple FIRs were clubbed in one. And at the same time, there is one other case also. In which which serves as a precedent in this matter. So Article 20 in subsection 2 of the Constitution guarantees the right against double jeopardy, and multiple FIRs means multiple trials, and this is perhaps the reason that last time also and this time around also the lawyers of Nupur Sharma have filed this petition to club the FIRs, because going by the orders in the last cases, popular case of 2020 journalist versus the Maharashtra government, then there is one case of Kerala in 2001 where the FIRs were clubbed. So going by the law,
let's just break this point by point for our viewers. Essentially, the point that the legal team of Nupur Sharma has been making, that the allegation is the same. So why hop from one city to another as far as these various FIRs are concerned? Why can't you just club them? So what I want to first understand is how many in total of these FIRs are currently against Nupur Sharma?
Well, look, there are multiple FIRs that have been lodged in the state of West Bengal, in Maharashtra, and in fact there are multiple summons also that have been issued to Nupur Sharma. Now, this petition also highlights the threat that Nupur Sharma is facing right now, and also this petition also demands expunging of the observations which were made, which was made by the bench in the last hearing. So these two are also the requests that have been made in the petition. Now, Justice Surikant has said that now you are explaining that going to different high courts and imminent threat to life. Is this your case subject to the submission of the respondents? Now judges are discussing. This is what Ananya is reporting. And I want to show two things in these matter. What you have done earlier is that you have allowed first FIR to go on and others are stayed and no coercive action is granted. Singh, as he shows other cases. So Mr. Singh, the advocate of Nupur Sharma, is trying to explain it to the court that her life is under threat. At the same time, the two precedents are already available before the court in which the FIRs were clubbed. So law doesn't believe in multiple trials. Multiple FIRs means multiple trials in the same offence. So the request is to club the FIRs and hand over the case to the Delhi police. So this is what Nupur Sharma's lawyers have been demanding, and now Ananya is reporting the judges are discussing something.
Correct. Okay. So Siddharth, we'll continue to come back to you even as we continue to look at all the updates that our colleague Ananya is also putting for us. But I'll just request you to stay on with us. Let me bring in our guests who are joining us this afternoon as well. We have lawyer and political analyst Kapil Madan. We also have a lawyer from the Supreme Court, Aashutoshsrivastava. Good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Ashutosh, let me begin with you first. Was it warranted or was it excessive? That really has been the debate as far as the strong words that we heard from the top court the first time around. Is this plea maintainable? Let's begin with that as far as Nupur Sharma is concerned.
First to begin with, if anybody is saying anything against a religion, it is not at all acceptable in this country. Obviously, that's a different issue. And accordingly, the FIRs have been registered and the matter is under investigation.
There was action taken by a political party also. That's a separate issue. Let's focus on what's taking place as far as the top court is concerned.
Now when we talk about the legality of it, now, there is a provision, section 223 in the Criminal Procedure Code, which says that a person should not be prosecuted for the same offence by different courts and by different, police stations registering different FIRs. So, in previous instances also, Supreme Court has clubbed these kind of FIRs being registered in different states for the same set of an offence being alleged to have been committed by any accused. And if we see even, Babulal versus the state of Gujarat, which was decided by the Supreme Court in 2010, in which the Supreme Court has clarified that position also, that there should not be multiple FIRs being registered for the same offence, and this requires to be clubbed. However, in this matter, the court will see further the merit of this particular case, and previously also considering the merits of the previous cases, Supreme Court had decided accordingly. So there is a provision, no doubt, for clubbing of the FIR, but now it is up to the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to decide on that. See what happens if any crime is alleged to have happened or committed by any accused. The FIR is generally registered at the police station where, under whose jurisdiction the crime has alleged to have happened. Now, in this case, since it was a debate on the news channel, and it is very difficult to ascertain any particular place in whose police station jurisdiction it happened. So since it was aired, and accordingly whoever watched that interview registered the FIR as per wherever the person has watched that news piece, and accordingly the FIRs have been registered. Now, as a matter of fact, and the legality involved into it, there cannot be separate and different prosecutions for the same offence alleged to have happened. Obviously, if somebody has committed a crime, the person needs to be prosecuted under that section in a particular jurisdiction where it has happened, or maybe clubbing all these FIRs together at one place, and then the trial can be continued. Now, if a person who has been
so you're essentially saying if the allegation
accused
is
of
the same, then a clubbing of these FIRs can take place. Okay, so we'll really have to see how that moves, but I want to bring in Kapil Madan as well. Kapil Madan, the other big question that is being raised over the last couple of weeks is that with that very strong criticism that came from the Supreme Court, where one of the observations that were made was that whatever happened in Udaipur, where we saw that very unfortunate barbaric beheading, that was because of the comments that were made by Nupur Sharma. So was this actually an overreach as far as the Supreme Court is concerned?
Let us see, Ridhimaji, understand the backdrop of of the entire circumstances in which this observation was made. Now you may recall when this incident happened, there was no apology, there was no repentance offered by Nupur Sharma, and it was only after the backlash that happened from the Gulf countries, and after the termination of Nupur Sharma by Bharatiya Janata Party, only thereafter an apology was sought. And you must also remember, Nupur Sharma publicly also in one of the interview made a remark that she is getting support from higher ups, be it Home Ministry. She also mentioned about Devendra Fadnavis. So the point I am trying to make here is that when you are in a public space, when you hold a political position, then you should be absolutely careful in what you are saying, because your words will be imputed to the party that you will represent, and in this situation it is the ruling party.
No, but Kapil, that's where it becomes problematic, right? So action had already been taken against Nupur Sharma. The party had already suspended her from the primary membership. She was no more the spokesperson. And the government also made its position very, very clear. There was a legal action that was taking place as well. But when you liken the barbaric act that took place in broad daylight in Udaipur, it's almost giving a clean sheet that somebody makes a comment and it's okay to go and behead somebody then. That's where it became problematic. But I'll just come back to our guest in just a bit. Siddhant continues to be with us. Siddhant, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned?
Well, that's correct. So, Mr. Singh, Nupur Sharma's advocate is making a point in the Supreme Court, that first FIR is in Delhi, criminal allegation is the same, it is the same telecast of program is the subject matter. And in fact, her lawyer is also saying this in court, that new FIRs and complaints are also stayed. So in such cases, going by the past instances, the fresh FIRs and complaints were also stopped by Supreme Court's intervention. So the similar is the demand this time around. And right now the judges are discussing something. Okay. This is what Ananya is reporting. So basically, as our esteemed guests were also highlighting, that there cannot be multiple trials for one alleged offence. And in fact, Section 20, subsection 2 of the Constitution gives protection from multiple trial. And last time also, if you remember, that there was an open letter which was written to the Chief Justice by concerned citizens, former judges, civil servants and veterans. And in that also this point was highlighted, that this is a fundamental right of anyone to move Supreme Court and ask for clubbing of FIR. And in fact, those who fall on the other side of the political equilibrium were also not very happy with the way Supreme Court, where the hearing was conducted last time in Nupur Sharma's case.
So the judges are currently discussing. We'll have to see what update comes as far as that proceeding is concerned. But let me continue the conversation with our guest. Ashutosh, the other problematic issue is that these were only observations that never made it as far as the final order is concerned. So the problem was that there was already a sense of, possibly coloring what the legal outcome could be as the investigation goes on.
Yes. The question is not whether the accused has committed a crime or not. That is obviously under investigation, and it is being investigated by the concerned police stations where the FIRs have been registered. Now, without going into deep into the merits of the case about the alleged offence being committed by the accused, now the question is whether she should be prosecuted multiple times for the same set of offence for which the FIR has been registered at different places. the law says no to it. This is what the law is about. Because you cannot prosecute a person who has alleged an offence multiple times at different places. So that is the crux of the matter here. So far as speaking legally, obviously the court see now whether it should allow the clubbing of the FIRs, because even if she has to apply for any sort of relief or for for bail or anything, so she will have to file to all these places where the FIRs are registered. So that is what, and if we see the previous precedents of the Supreme Court, and also if it is in a one particular state, then the High Court, that they have considered such kind of petitions. I don't know as to what will happen here. It will also depend on the merit of this particular case. But as a matter of fact, and considering the legality, it will be convenient even for the investigating agencies that if it is clubbed together and they do the proper investigation and then they submit the charge sheet against the accused.
Yeah, that's actually the question that I was getting to. That won't it actually streamline the process even for the agencies themselves if they have just one to look into if the allegation is actually the same, whereas across FIRs. But I'll just request Ashutosh to stay on with us. Kapil, leaving the legal aspect aside, there is also another aspect as far as the right to safety for Nupur Sharma is involved. While I said law will take its own course, look at the kind of threats that she's got, and this is exactly what she said this time around as well, that post those scathing observations and criticism, those threats actually have increased, and it's for everybody to see what's happening across the country. Her residential address has been splashed across social media, phone numbers have been splashed across social media. Doesn't she also have a right as far as safety is concerned, which is a basic right that me and you also wouldn't want?
So Ridhima, she has all the rights under the law. She can approach the concerned High Court and seek for a protection order. And these kind of petitions are not unusual. These kind of petitions are filed almost every day in courts where someone is facing any form of a threat. And after looking into the entire facts and circumstances of the case, the court passes the appropriate order. So if there is a threat, of course, there is, I mean, if, we can't really ignore, I mean, there could be a possibility that she has a genuine threat. In that situation, the Supreme Court has not foreclosed her right to move or to file any appropriate petition before the concerned court and to seek an appropriate order seeking protection. Also, we have also seen in the past that the central government also provides security, Z security, Y security after analyzing the threat perception of any individual, and they grant security. And given the fact that Nupur comes from Bharatiya Janata Party, and if she is facing a threat, I mean, the center should actually do a threshold analysis whether there is an actual threat or not, and if there is a threat, the central government should provide her the security.
Okay. I'll just request a guest to stay on with us. We're getting some updates also now coming in. The Supreme Court has gone on to say we understand the threats and now we're understanding the matter. In fact, has been posted for hearing for the 10th of August. That's the big update that's coming in. Till then, no coercive action against the petitioner. That's the big word that's coming in from the court. As an interim measure, no coercive action shall be taken against the petitioner. Siddhant continues to be with us. So Siddhant, big update coming in. One matter has been posted for hearing for the 10th of August, but also as an interim measure, this will be a big relief that no coercive action shall be taken against the petitioner here, Nupur Sharma.
Well, that's correct. So there are two major takeaways from today's hearing. One, the matter has been posted for hearing on 10th of August. And the copies of the writ petition will be supplied to the respondents. Now, respondents in the matter are the state governments which have filed FIRs against Nupur Sharma. Also, interim relief has been granted to Nupur Sharma. No coercive action shall be taken against the petitioner. So it's a big relief for Nupur Sharma, which she and her lawyers have been trying to get from the Supreme Court. And also, court has asked Nupur's lawyer to file one additional affidavit mentioning the two recent threats that have been received by Nupur Sharma. One is obviously of that Pakistani who has been apprehended, and the other one which has been mentioned by Mr. Singh in the court. So these are the three major takeaways in the Supreme Court. The matter has been kept for hearing on 10th of August. Also, Supreme Court, while dictating order and recording submissions, made it very clear that this court on 1st July had asked the petitioner to take the alternative remedy. In support of a plea, the petitioner has averred that after her orders, various incidences including threat. SC notes Chishti's remark wherein he asked for cutting off petitioner's threat. SC also notes the video of another person who abused her and gave life threats. So SC has taken note of all these threats that have been received by Nupur Sharma, and in fact SC has clarified that last time around she was asked to go for another alternative remedy, but since she has been getting the threat and she is not in a state to go to the high courts, respective high courts, for the quashing of FIR, so this order has been given. Interim relief has been granted to Nupur Sharma against any coercive measure. The matter has also been kept for the another hearing on 10th of August. A writ petition will be given to the respondents in this matter, the state governments, and in fact the additional affidavit has also been asked to be filed by Nupur's lawyer, mentioning the two recent threats that she has received. So big relief.
So Siddhant, I just request you to stay on with us. So it is a big relief, as we said, for the now suspended spokesperson of the BJP, Nupur Sharma, because essentially there will be no coercive action. The matter has now been posted for the 10th of August. I believe my colleague Anusha is also now joining us from the newsroom. Anusha, could you first talk to us about the big takeaways where the Supreme Court has taken note of the various threats which was part of this plea of Nupur Sharma, and what can we expect from here on?
Well, let's distill down this crucial order that has come from the Supreme Court. As our colleague Ananya reports from the courtroom, I think the major takeaway is that there were multiple FIRs that were being filed in different parts of the country. What is the immediate threat a person in a case like this really faces? That he or she will be summoned by the magistrate or the local thanas repeatedly, and keeping the threats into mind, there was a serious concern for her life. Keeping all of that into mind, the Supreme Court has granted a major relief. Though they have not given a direct order of clubbing of the FIRs together, but they have said no coercive action. That means she can't be summoned anywhere. That means no court or a magistrate, a court really ask her to come there. Police thanas can't do that. The FIRs stay where they were. The second part of it, and it's a rather technical part.
Anusha, I apologize for interrupting. I'll just come back to you in 30 seconds. I believe our colleague Ananya is also now joining us on the broadcast, and he's been getting us these updates from inside the courtroom. Ananya, over to you. Talk to us about what was discussed today and what has the court taken cognizance of today.
Well, yes, definitely a big day for Nupur Sharma, completely a very, very big relief coming in. In fact, a very, very massive relief coming in for Nupur Sharma, wherein the Supreme Court has in fact granted interim protection to Nupur Sharma until 10th of August. It is clearly said that no coercive action shall be taken against her, and in fact there shall be a stay on the proceedings in all of these FIRs, whether it's in Delhi, whether it's in West Bengal or any other state. In fact, it has also went on to say that there are serious threats to her life. Remember that senior advocate Maninder Singh, who was appearing for Nupur Sharma, has clearly pointed out various life threats, including that of the Aligarh of Salman Chishti, who had given out a serious threat to her life, clearly saying that whoever beheads her can in fact get her his house. So now these threats were in fact mentioned before the topmost court of the country. The court took note of this and has now completely asked for a no coercive action against her until the next date of hearing, and it has invited response from all of the states, which include Maharashtra, which include West Bengal, which also includes the national capital, to in fact give out and explore the remedies that she can avail and how she can avail this remedy wherein she won't face a threat to her life. So we are seeing a very big relief coming in for Nupur Sharma. Her advocate, in fact, Justice Suryakant, Justice J.B. Pardewala, has now paved the way for Nupur Sharma to in fact exercise her legal remedies, to go get bail, go in fact get a quashing done, and in fact she can avail all kinds of reliefs, and she is protected by the Supreme Court until the 10th of August when the Supreme Court hears the matter. But now what is very, very interesting to see is that how the states would respond to this petition, to these in fact remarks, and also what kind of in fact a legal remedy or a recourse the states would suggest the Supreme Court that can be granted to Nupur Sharma so that there is no threat to her life and she can avail her legal remedies.
Right. Ananya, I'll just request you to stay on with us. So Anusha, taking on exactly from what Ananya is also pointing out, it is going to be a relief for Nupur Sharma. The FIRs stay where they are. But I want to now understand what next for Nupur Sharma. What are the legal remedies and routes that she can avail at this stage?
See, Ridhima, as Ananya was pointing out, that these are FIRs in multiple states across the country. The clubbing of FIRs is a very ordinary legal process, a relief which is granted to most accused, because the process cannot be used as a punishment against any accused in this country. Even accused have a right to life and liberty, and all those rights are protected by the Supreme Court. An important technical bit that I was earlier talking about, that Article 32 has been invoked to seek this remedy, which means the extraordinary jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of India has been invoked. This means that the petitioners did not go by the usual norms of the CRPC, but have pointed out to the extraordinary threat of life that pervades. Another important point to note forward is that the departure from the earlier tone and tenor of the hearing.
Absolutely.
In the last hearing, there were some very stringent remarks that were made against Nupur Sharma. This time, the judges were very limited in the oral observations that they have given out.
Absolutely. That's exactly the question that I wanted to take to Ananya. There is a stark difference because, as I said when I started this show, it is the same bench which is hearing this case once again, which is the bench which had heard the case on the 1st of July. There has been a big difference in the tone and tenor from those scathing observations where they likened what happened in Udaipur to the comments made by Nupur Sharma, thus raising the question that in the first instance itself, was there an overreach?
Well, yes, definitely there has been a change of tone and tenor, but this is not something new, but because there have been a change in the circumstance, there have been more and more threats that have been coming in onto Nupur Sharma. In fact, we saw how Chisti's remarks were very scathing, and in fact he had said that anybody who beheads Nupur Sharma and comes back would get his home. So such remarks and seeing this situation, such a grave situation, the Supreme Court had to change its way, Supreme Court had to change its tone and tenor and now grant this relief. Also, one thing to point out is the Article 32 jurisdiction of the court is not an extraordinary power, but then a very general aspect. It's a normal writ petition aspect which Nupur Sharma had invoked in the first time, and there was no breach of the criminal proceedings that she had done. Apart from this, what is very crucial to notice is what the states would say in their response, because the states have been asked to explore the remedies that Nupur Sharma can avail and the way in which she can avail these remedies at a time, and also remembering that she stays protected and nothing happens to her life and liberty, because as Mr. Singh had clearly mentioned before the topmost court of the country, that the Supreme Court is the protector of Article 21, that is the right to life, and hence such a Article 32 jurisdiction was invoked in the first time, and now a modification application was filed before the topmost court of the country seeking a change in its order and asking for a protection which clearly has been granted by a bench of Justice Suryakant and Justice J.B. Pardiwala, saying that there is an immense threat to her life, and hence inter agnema protection, interim protection is very necessary. That has to be granted to Nupur Sharma. In fact, notices have been issued to various states, and we'll have to wait and watch as to
what
how
the responses of those various states are. Correct.
Grave change.
Yeah, absolutely. A big change as far as the tone and tenor is concerned. So in interim relief to Nupur Sharma, and also the matter now has been posted for the next hearing, which is scheduled for the 10th of August. I'd like to thank my colleagues Anusha as well as Ananya. I quickly want to go back to our guests who continue to be with us, lawyer and political analyst Kapil Madan, and we also have from the Supreme Court lawyer Aashutoshsrivastava. Kapil, your first reaction and interim relief being given. The Supreme Court also realizes that the situation when it first heard the case from the 1st of July to now has changed. There has been a renewed perception as far as the increased threats are concerned.
Ridhima, sorry, I lost the voice. Can you repeat that, please?
I was essentially asking your first reaction to what we've seen from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also essentially understanding that the situation has drastically changed from the 1st of July to now. There has been an increased threat perception as far as Nupur Sharma is concerned. So that interim relief and protection at this stage was crucial for Nupur Sharma.
Yes, so Ridhima, we need to see that the Supreme Court needs to balance the scale of justice. Now, Supreme Court is also mindful of the fact that there could be a situation where she was facing threat, and that is the reason why the court has passed this.
I'll just request you to stay on with us. I apologize. We in fact have Mahir Jetmalali now joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking to us here.